Hey there, it's the Pigskin preview. You're seeing us, which means we've got college football games right around the corner. I'm Nick Roush. He's Adam Luckett. We're going to help you build that bankroll with BetMGM this weekend as we prepare for week 6 of the college football season. And it's going to be really hard to top week 5. I know that we are typically the ones who tell you that they say it's not going to be good, but it's always good. It's going to be very hard to top last week, and starting with 3 Friday night games that went down to the last play, and then that awesome Saturday. Not going to be as much for us to play this Friday night, Mr. Luckett. Outside of maybe some playoff baseball, but I don't even know if any of these games are going to make it to that.
There's always an under to play, and BYU West Virginia smells like an under. Unfortunately for me, Nick, maybe fortunate. Who knows how it shakes out? But great state of Georgia. The apps do not work down here.
Yeah. SEC, it just means more, except for when it comes to sports gambling. Like, get your stuff together, Southern States.
So yeah, once I get out of here, you're checking out that NFL card. But I did get my picks in before I hit the road.
Yeah, because you're already down in the Peach State.
These 3 have already been submitted. Okay. In my app. So we're ready to go. There's always winners, Nick. So don't let anybody tell you, oh, the card stinks. I guess I'll go to the pumpkin patch this weekend. Wah. There's always winners to be had, and there'll be more on this Saturday. And these weekends always, Nick, they find a way some way to entertain us. The Friday night slate I actually kind of like. You've got 5 games. WKU Delaware is kind of an interesting game in that CUSA race. Like, those might be 2 of the best teams in the CUSA.
I'm still not used to Delaware's FCS in my mind, and they always will be. But people forget that.
They're the wannabe Michigan men with the helmets.
Mm-hmm.
And then West Virginia BYU. BYU's kind of sneaky again. And then we've got a fun little. I like how the noon slate shakes out Saturday, and then we'll see what happens. Big game at Louisville between Virginia and Louisville. Louisville survived last weekend. Virginia had the big upset. And then some other big games that we'll get to as well. So I'm looking forward to the Saturday, and I think there'll be enough to keep us entertained.
There's a couple in the SEC I want to talk about that neither of us have on our card. One of them is at Kyle Field, where Texas A&M is laying 14.5 against Mississippi State. And this is a game like it feels like Mississippi State has to run out of steam at some point.
Right.
But, I mean, especially away from home, it's just 14.5 is very rich for my blood. Like, I was ready to say, like when I saw that matchup, I'm like, oh, this is the time to take Mississippi State to kind of fall apart. But that's just an enormous number, and I can't get there.
Yeah, it's an obvious letdown spot for Jeff Lebby's Bulldogs there at Kyle Field, Nick. That's the obvious. I think the interesting thing, one of the more interesting things about that game is A&M's awful as a home favorite under Elko, 2-7 against the spread. Like, that's not something they've been good at, is when they have to lay points. But yeah, it does feel like the letdown after the huge game at home, which was their biggest home game, Nick, since Mike Leach's passing. Like, it was a huge game for that program. You just have to worry, are they able to get up off the mat that quickly against a team that has more talent than them? And then A&M's best receiver, Mario Craver, played at Mississippi State last year. So that's an interesting matchup in that game. So yeah, that was one I looked at. It's not going to be in the column because I fear for that letdown spot. They feel like ripe for the letdown, the Bulldogs do. But I do like how they match up with the Aggies.
The other game too in Gainesville, I'm just
no part of that. I want zero part of that game. Right. Like, I'll watch it. I'm gonna watch it and enjoy it, but I even looked at some props, Nick. Like, where could I find some value here on some props? I want no part of it.
Because
maybe a team total under, but that's it. But even in that, it feels like a game that could just get weird. I just want no part of it.
Yeah. Because going into the season, some people would say these are not only 2 of the best quarterbacks in the SEC, but 2 of the best quarterbacks in the country, and they've looked far from it. And the defenses have been good. What I noticed too is like Florida's defense has been good, but the numbers aren't great in a lot of
Yeah.
areas too, which is kind of weird. Like they haven't gotten a lot of havoc stats. So I have no idea what to expect. Although I would say that we talk about the SEC race, and it's much different than years past, where there's 7, 8 teams where you're like, well, maybe they could get in it, maybe they could do this, maybe they could do that. Everybody kind of fell asleep on Texas because they didn't play anybody for a month after the Ohio State game. So, like, if Arch is just average Arch, above average Arch in this game, right? Like, 60% of his pass, let's say 12 of 20 for 200, 2 touchdowns, a pick, rushes for another touchdown, and they win 24-10, right? Like, you could see where this is how Texas kind of revs the engines up. They win in Red River, and then they're kind of off to the races sort of deal. So, like, I feel like they're a team in general. Like, if you're one of those futures guys, that getting them now is probably a good time if you want to look at playoff odds or SEC odds or whatever that may be.
Yeah, it's an interesting stretch here for Texas. This game, which looks like Billy Napier's last game. Like if I was a betting man, Nick, that would be the bet. This is Billy Napier's last game because the red shirt rule. This just feels like it for him.
Yeah.
Now, if they lost and it's tight, I think they might keep him around. But if they lose by more than a touchdown, I feel pretty safe in that he's, when we're driving home on Sunday, we get that news gets dumped. But then they go Oklahoma without Mateer, most likely. We'll see. I know they're saying, but I would imagine he's not going to play. And then Kentucky, Mississippi State, and before Vanderbilt at home. Those are road games. So it's interesting. Like you see the schedule kind of setting up for Texas, to your point, right?
Yeah.
On the playoff. You win this game, you're 4-1. You get Oklahoma without Mateer, should be 5-1. Kentucky 6-1. You got to go to sneaky road trip at Mississippi State, but if you win that one, you're 7-1 when Vandy comes to town. Like the path is there to 8-1 when they go to Georgia, when they go to Athens on November 15th, and then they got Arkansas and A&M at home to close the season. So yeah, like just a playoff bet if you can get them just to make the playoff field. Feels like that's definitely there because it definitely feels like they could go through that stretch and maybe only lose one more game. At least they have a really good puncher's chance, specifically if you're watching that game on Saturday and the offense looks improved.
Yeah. So good luck to the Horns. Good luck if you're going to be playing that game. We hope you have some good luck when you're playing with BetMGM this fall. Make this college football season legendary and make sure you are playing with BetMGM. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use the bonus code ON3 and you're going to get up to $1,500 back on your first bet with BetMGM. So whatever you deposit, make your bet. If your first wager doesn't cash, you're going to get all that money back in bonus bets with BetMGM. BetMGM is great because they got all the features you want, right? Parlay tokens, lots of tokens. All of the tokens you want, whether it's MLB, NFL, college football, whatever it may be. They'll goose your odds a little bit. They'll give you a chance to win a bet and get your money back, especially with that ON3 code. Bet up to $1,500 on your first bet when you sign up at BetMGM. You can get it all back on bonus bets if it doesn't hit. Make this college football season one for the history books. Make it legendary with BetMGM. See,
Nick,
BetMGM.
before he gets – sorry.
I got it. Oh, come on.
My bad. I thought you were done. I got
to do the disclaimer. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. Promotional offers not available in New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, 1-800-327-5050 in Massachusetts, 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa, 1-800-981-0023 in Puerto Riqueños. Shout out to Bad Bunny. It's not part of the disclaimer. First bet offer for new customers only, subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Don't forget, if you haven't signed up, BetMGM, use promo code ON3, $1,500 first bet offer today. All right. Hit me, Luckett.
I just want to point out my Virginia Tech over 6.5 is not dead yet. It's very
What?
much alive.
I wrote this down as the top of my notes. It's how bad is the ACC? Virginia Tech has fired their coach, and they are a 7-point favorite in a conference game against Wake Forest, where Sleepy Winston-Salem nearly got Georgia Tech, but pretty crazy that's where the ACC is right now.
I just want to say that's still alive. And then Scott Satterfield is laying points against a ranked and undefeated Iowa State team this weekend.
All right.
That may be the most fascinating game of the weekend to me.
What was
it's just to see that, because they are advanced. They are like an advanced statistic darling right now, Cincinnati, and that's why I think they're getting a big push.
600 yards of offense, and well, did they end up winning that game outright?
Yeah, they had the last
fumble going
drive,
in just pissed me off. I just, when I blew the cover, I kind of wanted Kansas to lose after that. But there was a stat that the Bear used to always share, but he's too slow on his go now that he's at Fox now. But it's something like, if you are the unranked team at home that's a favorite over a ranked team, is it those teams always cover? Is that right?
Yeah, I think the success rate betting those is pretty fruitful.
Which that feels like one of those, like you kind of have to, Vegas knows something sort of deal, even though I probably won't. The other one too that I want to see a trend on is the military academy underplay dead, or are we still going to do that? Because at one point it was hitting.
I think you have to throw out last year because the offenses were so good across the board.
Because it was an 84% clip going into last year, and what's funny is the total in this game. So it's Navy versus Air Force. The total is 52.5, and SP Plus has this game at 62.5. So like, the Vegas is adjusting and deflating that total, but 52.5 points is still a lot of points for a service academy game. It's just, will it regress back to the unders, or are the options now high flying options? I don't know.
Turn it into the Big 12, old school Big 12, when Mike Gundy was a proper top 20 coach. Big 12.
Well, now they're are they both in the American now?
Army and Navy are, and the Air Force is in the Mountain West.
Okay. I love the Air Force helmets, and I've been out to the academy on Colorado Springs. Beautiful, beautiful. They don't, you won't believe this, but they don't put these military academies in ugly places.
Shocker.
Yeah, big time shocker. But let's go ahead and let's get some picks, Mr. Luckett. Let's get some picks. You wanna rip the Band-Aid off first?
Yeah, I'll lead us off here on the tee box after a 2-1 week. First game, Nick. Let me pull up my list here. Really well prepared here. We're going to the SEC country, 3:30 ABC. College game day is in T-Town.
Look at us picking the big games.
I'm sure the Rammer Jammers, the Houndstooth Sports Bar, all of the local establishments, they're all fired up because big, bad Vanderbilt's rolling into town. Give me the Commodores, plus 10.5 here. I just like the trends here. Like Diego Pavia, Nick, has been like, I still haven't looked up. I still need to look up his New Mexico State numbers, but I know he's got a couple big wins there. Obviously, the Auburn game when he was there. But Vanderbilt 6-0 against the spread with 4 outright upset wins as a road dog with Pavia at quarterback. All right, and we've seen DeBoer here struggle to cover these big numbers as a favorite. Yeah. This is where has been his biggest weakness at Bama. The big games he has his team ready for those. It's these type of games. I know, like, there was a Ryan Williams quote from the offseason about all that, but that was an all eggs in the basket game last week in Athens for Bama, because if they lose that, they're done. The season's over, right, for them at that point. So I like the situation for Vanderbilt. The thing that worries me in this game, it's kind of similar to Indiana, Ohio State. because you look at the numbers and some of these metrics, Vanderbilt's beating Alabama in a lot of these. But like when they get out on the field, does the Bama talent just overwhelm Vanderbilt? I don't think Bama's roster is on the same plane as that Ohio State roster last year. I like Pavi in this big spot. I think they'll be able to control just the pace of the game. And so you know, if Bama has to win by, more than 10 here, I think they're going to have to get up to 35, 38 points, I think, to get there. I think pacing Vanderbilt will be able to keep it in pace, and their offense is scoring points this year. So I'm going to take the Doors. Give me plus 10.5 in probably the biggest game in Vanderbilt football history, I would imagine.
Yeah, that the point you made earlier too, where it felt like an autoplay Vandy going into this, but having game day there and Johnny football and just I don't know. There's a lot of hoopla where, to your point, you think that they could just get outclassed, right? And
I think that would be the fear.
Yeah. So like I'm not willing to get there with you, but it would be very funny if Pavia beat him twice and he just became the Bammer killer.
Just the king of the state.
Hell, he might run for that Senate seat. Him,
UAB, you're going to fire Trent Dilfer. Just make another crazy out of the box hire and just hire Diego Pavia to be your football coach.
Pavia will be the coach, quarterback, player coach. Yeah. I've got two teams that I just can't quit that are playing each other. And last year for me, I couldn't stop playing Kansas State and Avery Johnson. And part of it's because they did well for me from home, but I chased it too much. Well, now my new team that I love chasing is Baylor. In parts because Sawyer Robertson's awesome. Their defense isn't great, but Sawyer Robertson is incredible. And as much as this is a play on Baylor, it's Avery Johnson stinks away from home. He's got 2 road wins in his career, and they're both against bad teams last year. I trust him to make too many mistakes in this spot after, this was a big get-right game against UCF. They've been pretty terrible all year. So I'm taking Baylor. Even if he gets in a shootout, I'm confident that they can win by a tutter. So give me the Bears and Sawyer Robertson on Saturday.
Yeah, I think it's a big game for Aranda. I think some hot seat chatter could start to ramp up there if he starts 3-3, 1-2. Which
feels like every time the hot seat's like getting ready to start bubbling, he pulls off another win, He's pretty good at that.
Yeah, it's a battle of like second tier Big 12. Really, It feels like this is like for 5th place in the Big 12 almost is what this game feels like.
No, this is where the chaos is.
The perfect noon game. I gets a lot of points in this conference was the one thing I'll say because all these games are close. So I wouldn't be surprised if it comes down to the horn one way or the other.
Just not all the way down to the horn. Give me a tutty. Give me a little tutty there at the end. Mr. Luckett, who you got for your second selection?
Yeah, next up, we're staying in the going to the Big Ten. Excuse me. This is a dog Saturday for your guy. Another dog. Michigan State catching 11.5 here at big bad blowout Nebraska because they blow out everybody. I like this to be a close game, Nick. I just think it's going to be a close game. Nebraska's run defense stinks, and this is a bad conference to have a bad run defense. It's just hard to win games how they want to win it. I think Michigan State, they'll be able to run the ball. I like Aiden Childs at quarterback. I think they'll be able to have some success against this Nebraska defense. So to me, this game comes down to is like Nebraska is going to score enough to cover this number. Like, are they going to score 35 plus points? Because I feel like that's what's going to be needed to cover this number. I just have my doubts here.
Yeah.
Feels like a lot of points for Nebraska to be laying, this Nebraska team to be laying in a conference game. Jonathan Smith is, 17 and 9 in his career as a road dog, just covered at USC earlier this year. I like the Spartans here, Nick. I'm going to take them plus 11.5. Maybe even a money line sprinkle. I think a money line sprinkle is
Ooh,
worth consideration.
which you played them against USC a couple weeks back, correct?
I played USC. I'm on the other side here. I'm on
Okay.
the other side. But like Michigan State, they have been scoring points this year. If you kind of look at how their season has been going, they got in a shootout with Boston College. They were able to score some points against USC. I think they're going to be able to score points, and I just don't know if Nebraska is going to be able to score enough to cover double digits. It's just a big spread in that conference.
We're going to stay in the Big Ten, where you're taking the dogs. I'm going coastal. I know we just watched Oregon go across the Rocky Mountains and win a football game, but the Huskies, they ain't it. And they're 6.5-point favorites on the road at Maryland. I think there's a big in everybody's head, like, oh, they played Ohio State well for a while. Like, that's a good football team. Think what you want. Maryland's got an awesome freshman quarterback. They're scoring points. They're undefeated, which you probably did not know. And this isn't to say that this is Loxley's biggest game or the biggest game at the Snake Pit and forever, but they're gonna be juiced up. They're gonna be juiced up for a very winnable conference game against a good opponent. Give me the Dirty Terps plus 6.5 at home as Washington travels across country.
It's a hangover game for Washington going coast to coast here.
Yeah.
These are the dangerous spots, I think, in the Big Ten. And really with Maryland, Nick, this defense has been nasty to start the year. Like, they totally took Wisconsin out of what they wanted to do. They played that Florida Atlantic air raid offense and turned them over a bunch of times in the first week.
Mm-hmm.
They've given up 7, 9, 17, and 10 points to start the year. This game is going to appear in the column. I like the under here in this game. I think it's going to be a race to 21 points.
Well, let me give you a stat that might convince you to take Maryland as well. Because if you're playing under, you might as well play the dog. When teams in the Big Ten cross the Rocky Mountains and their name is not Ohio State, Penn State, or Oregon, they're 5-19 straight up, 8-16 against the spread.
Yeah, it's been a huge home field advantage. Across the multiple time zone road trips. Like we talked about last week, USC with Illinois, and they end up losing.
Right.
Like, they've just not been good when they have to go play on the East Coast. It's just a huge advantage.
It works both ways too for teams going east to west, which might be later in this program. Mr. Luckett, who's your third and final selection?
The biggest game of the day, 7:30, ABC. Tallahassee's going to be rocking for the second time. I love this spot for the Florida State Seminoles. Give me the home dog here.
Yeah.
Chief Osceola and his Dalmatian horse are going to be howling at the moon for this one. Florida State plus 4.5 against the Canes. I love the spot, Nick. They get the long week here. Even though Miami's coming off a bye, Florida State gets the long week. They're coming off a Virginia loss that was tough. Florida State can score points here to keep up with Miami. Miami's winning with defense and run game. I think Florida State's probably the more explosive team in this game. And I just love the spot for the Seminoles. I think this one's coming down to the wire, but I'll take the 4.5 points at home.
My thought was pretty simple. How can you trust the U to continue playing murder ball? How many times in our lifetimes have we seen Miami win a couple big games? You think they're back, and then what do? They fall flat on their faces. This is the perfect opportunity to fall flat on their faces, especially on the heels of that Friday night loss to Virginia for Florida State, where they're in it wire, down to the wire. Things get a little weird on that Friday night game in the ACC. Like we've seen that plenty of times before. I just don't know how you can trust Miami. Like I would love to know the psyche of an individual that's willing to walk to the window and bet on those uniforms, on that program, on Mario Cristobal to go win another big game. Like, it's not just – they've won some big ones already. And to keep it up, to continue doing it, like, you're highly dependent on them just completely stuffing Castellanos. And I just –
First road game for them, too.
Yeah. Like I can't get there. So I think Florida State's the only side you can play there, and I might join you as well because we're gonna be done early. We're gonna get to watch the primetime games, and gosh, these stupid states. You can't have BetMGM in Georgia. Like, grow up, Georgia. Be adults here. All right, just grow up. Because here's the other thing too, Lucky. We've got action in the late night window. I can't quit it. But this one was calling me. I erred in my ways the last time I bet on Justin Wilcox. I bet him to go on the road and win. It's a favorite. Justin Wilcox is a home dog, right? Like, just get him at home. He's howling. Hoo, 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 hoo. You got that number for me, Mr. Luckett? Pulled up?
Cal's 14-5 against the spread under Wilcox as a home dog.
Yeah, they're home dogs a lot, but they are good as a home dog. They are 3-point dogs against Duke. It's a night game. Another one where you're traveling across the country. The Calgorithm will be in full effect. And here's the biggest part of this, Luckett. I know JKS is it's fun having the southpaw lefty who's good and has a hard name to say. He's a true freshman. He's been awesome. It's a great story. But the Cal defense is pretty awesome, particularly their pass defense. They're number 22 in EPA. They have the second most picks in the ACC with 5. Duke, their bread and butter is explosive plays with Mensa because he's good. He's good at throwing the football downfield. And I think Cal is the second best team in the ACC. Like, they have the second fewest pass plays of 30-plus yards so far this year. So, like, if they win the matchup right there, like that feels like the game. And it feels like they kind of got an advantage. I don't know how Duke's going to score. And just as good as I think Duke can be with Mensa long term, this just traveling, bouncing all across the country sort of deal. Like, I know it's only October, but they're kind of going through it. I think Cal's going to punch him in the mouth, and it's going to be fighting tooth and nail down to the very last down.
Yeah, I like Cal in this game. Cross country.
Mm-hmm.
Duke's coming. Duke went to Syracuse, went home, and now it's got to go to Berkeley. It's a lot of travel. 2 weeks, back-to-back travel stuff for even if you're not going cross country.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a line. Now Cal's going. They were in Boston College. They got to get back, but I like this spot for Cal.
There you have it, folks. We've got lots of plays. We had some people asking, "Hey, is easy cover for Georgia, right?" I would be. It's kind of similar to what I said about Miami. I would be leery about walking up to the window and placing money on Georgia to cover a big spread. I tried doing it earlier this year. They just don't. They don't do it like it. They don't do it.
Georgia since 2023, Nick, they are 9-22-1 any game against the spread. 3-11-1 against the spread as a home favorite. In their last 16 regular season games as a favorite of 20-plus points, Georgia's 0-15-1 against the spread. The one non-cover came as a push, as a 42-point favorite against Ball State. They struggle to cover these numbers, Nick. And not only are they like, it's one thing to be close a bunch of times.
Right.
On average, they are coming up 13 points and change shy of these totals, of these spreads every game. So this is not where they perform their best. Kentucky's 5-1 ATS in the last 6 in the series, and including in that, they've had 3 covers as a 20-plus point dog. 2019 as a 24-point dog. 2021, I believe, as a 21-point dog as well. 2023 as a 22-point dog, and then last year, I believe, as a 22-point dog. So they cover these numbers, and Kentucky's been really good in this spot against Georgia. But they're 7-2-1 in their last 9 games as a road favorite of 15-plus point, or road dog, Kentucky is 7-2-1 against the spread. So yeah, I think that, to me, Nick, if you're going to the window here, you have to play the under. Like, that is the side.
Yeah. The other part too,
the concern would be the Kentucky turnovers. But if Kentucky does what I think they do, which is pretty much like, we are not turning the ball over in this game.
Well, and that was what was brutal about last game for me, is The under that I played was 46.5. If you waited until Saturday because you were located in a state that had BetMGM, then you got it at 48.5 and you cashed that under ticket.
If Shane Bieber doesn't fake a punt, you get the
Yeah.
touchdown.
Yeah. But he had to get all pissy at Jay Boulware. I mean, that you want to talk about some stupid beats. And then having to settle for the push because Arizona State, can you fix your short yardage offense? It happened against Mississippi State, and then it happened last Friday night. Just punch the damn ball in. Keep getting stuffed at the 3. Humbug. Hey, we're bouncing back this week, though. That push, that one, it just looks so weird. It's going to be like watching those NFC East standings all year, and you see that one at the very end for the Cowboys.
Yeah. That does throw you off when that happens. One thing I will point out for those interested in props, we've got the Purdue pass first, pass second offense blueprint coming to Louisville right now because they cannot run the ball. Offensive line issues, both of those backs are banged up. So just Miller Moss, betting him to throw for 300-plus yards every game is not a bad idea. You're going to get plus odds, and they're going to throw it 45 times, right, in these games. So that's something I think to consider. Nebraska has the worst run defense in college football. Bet it, you can find a back that's consistently going to get 12 to 14 carries going against them. Betting that running back's total over yards makes a lot of sense. So those are some working systems I have because Louisville. I don't know what's going on with those backs, and I don't know what's going on with the line, but I do know when the run game's not working, Brom's not going to mess around and try to figure it out.
No,
they're just going to throw the ball.
Throw the damn ball.
That's what happened at Pitt. If you watched that game last week, and I think that's how they're gonna play here the next few weeks until those backs get healthy. Which is hard to get a read on at this point.
That Louisville Virginia game, it'll be maybe not as crazy as the Pitt game, but it was crazy the last time Virginia came to.
It has vibes of their game against SMU last year. It was just a crazy track meet.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it's a fun one on Saturday. We'll be in Athens watching the Cats and the Dogs at noon on ABC. We'll put in coverage on the KSR YouTube channel. Hopefully it's better than expected. For Adam Luckett, I'm Nick Roush. Best of luck this weekend. Let's win some freaking money.